Ah, that cinema sign on the top of the door, that was a good purchase. Oh, hi Pinocchio. Hello Mario. And I saw that theater sign up there, and that was, yeah, it looked really nice. It sure did look nice indeed, buddy. So, shall it be alright if we sit on the seats so we can have a nice chill out? Of course we can! Hey, excuse me, Mario. Yes? What's up, Pinocchio? I'm just wondering, is it okay if we talk about, like, how far you've come when it comes to, like, the movie adaptations? Like, and even if, a few cameos in, like, in a film or two or so? Because, I knew about the movie stuff about you, like in terms of a cameo in a pop culture film, or a film starring you and your friends. Oh yes, of course we can talk about it. I'm gonna turn on the screen, and we'll have a nice talk about how things have been going with the film stuff about me and my friends. Alrighty, so I just turned on the projector, and what we're seeing on the screen right now is technically my first big screen release, and one of the few first video game movies. Although this was exclusive to Japan and it was an anime, this was The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. Wow, yeah, that's great! And I knew about this one. So what else do you like to talk about with this one? Well, I'm glad you asked, buddy. So, I know some people say that the 1993 live-action movie, the one after this one, it was much more overseas and more global. But, and I know it can be considered like that was the first movie based on like a video game and our brand. And although that wasn't 100% true for the case, I can understand like how things have been going on what they meant. Yeah, so this right here, this was exclusive to Japan, and there were rare VHS copies at the time, and it was and I don't think much of the world knew about it. And until like the mid-2000s, I think, or after that, there was some low-quality uploads of it, of the recordings of this, and then afterwards, like long after, there were like remasters and everything, and you know what they say? The rest is history. Wow, that's great information in a piece of history of your brand, Mario! And yes, this was technically the first, like, big screen debut for you and your friends, even if it is, like, play out more somewhat differently for the franchise before and since. But yeah, and yes, like you said before about the exclusivity at the time, and the uploads and everything, I think many Mario fans know about that at this point. And yeah, like what you said before, the rest is history. And yeah, that's great. Very much indeed. So, let's talk about the next movie. Alrighty, so now that we talked about the 1986 anime, now it's time for the 1993 live-action movie. Yes, so this is much more overseas and globally known than the 1986 anime. And yeah, well, this is considered like the first movie based on a video game in our brand by some people, and I understand that. But yeah, even if because like the 86 anime was exclusive to Japan, and I think what we meant was like first overseas, globally known movie based on a video game in our brand. Yeah, I think that's what we all meant.
Yes, indeed, Mario. And yeah, and I'm very glad that the 86 anime has been more globally known as well, from YouTube videos and restorations for the world to see.
That's right. Now, let's talk about this one. So, it was considered like not even just with the how people saw it at the time, but the production of it. It was considered very complicated. It was very complicated, like how the film got made the way it was, and especially because like this was based on a video game, and it wasn't just my brand that was considered hard to adapt to film. Video games in general were considered hard to adapt to film as well. And yes, to be fair, it wasn't just my brand that was still in its new years. Like, it was still kind of a new thing at the time, and video games in general were in the same state, but this was still a very complicated production on what to do and everything, and it was very hard, and it was very difficult production, and yeah, and they really felt bad about it. Yeah, and they tried to apologize to the fans on like how the way it looked and everything, but it did get a cult following in more later years, and some people didn't like it for just for fun and everything, and yeah, and this did make Nintendo reluctant and you know like hesitant to license their branding and stuff, like put their branding for movie adaptations. But we'll get to the next movie. But before we do, I like to mention a little something. So before I go on the next movie that starred us, like our friends, I like to say a little something. In Wreck-It Ralph, there was Bowser and also Dr. Robotnik or Eggman from Sega. And this is considered by some, and probably many, as the closest we could get to like a Mario movie that will be made in complete full CGI. And over a decade later, we get the actual movie. Like that starred us. Like the characters and everything. Yeah, like that starred like the brand. And then this didn't start like any particular pre-existing brand. It had cameos of the brands. But yeah, you get what I'm talking about.
Ah, yes, very nice, Mario. And yeah, thanks for showing me a piece of your movie career. I mean, like pop culture career, really. I think that's what it really technically is.
Yes, I think putting it in the best way is a pop culture career. So, before I show you, like, the latest movie, I like to say, prior to, like, the Detective Pikachu, Sonic, and of course, me, there were many struggles with video game movies. And then, in, like, the mid-2010s and such, when, I think afterwards, there's been more animated video game stuff, and it's become much more successful. So, yeah. And like I said before, like the Mario movie did make like the 93 one. Yeah, it did make Nintendo like reluctant to put their brand license themselves like their branding for movie adaptations. But in the recent years, they decided to expand their company, including movies. So let's get to it. Alrighty, so the one that both of us have been waiting for to talk about is 2023's The Super Mario Bros. Movie!
Oh wow, yes! This one! So, yeah, that's the one where Nintendo collaborated with Illumination because of Illumination's bright and colorful animation. Yeah, and Nintendo was like, well, Illumination, make most aspects of our film at least decent, and at least good enough. Yeah, and then making sure that things will be decent and, yeah, and everything. Yeah, and plus, like, yes, and this is, like, technically, like, the first, like, this is, like, a considered new Mario movie, like, that started its characters and Nintendo's branding in, like, a while.
Yes, you got that right, Pinocchio. And yes, and we told people around the world that, yep, we did our best, and making sure, like, yeah, and it's good that we did a bit of nice entertaining with this, and yeah, and this is one of, like, and this along with, like, Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog, we all did our best on those as well, with this one too. And we should indeed, like Illumination does have very bright and colorful animation, even if they, most of the time, they did have, like, a standard style for their films. At least, like, they do have very bright and colorful animation. And they design, and the designs look pretty good here. They do look nice. Yeah, and how everything just played out well in the end. And this is the biggest Mario film out of all the ones we just mentioned. Yeah, and the Illumination movie after this one was Migration. Yeah, and we thought that was pretty good too. So yeah, so overall, Nintendo Illumination made sure this is at least like a good watch for fans and families that enjoy the brand.
Yeah, and at meet and greets in the movie theaters, after people watched the film, there was me, Luigi, Toad, Donkey Kong, Peach, and Bowser. Yeah, we were all saying hello to the people who after they saw the movie, and telling them we did our best, and to make this a nice, fun social experience for them. And they had a good time, too, to socialize and watch it on a big screen, and see some nice, colorful visuals, and yeah. It was also to prove that, that movie theaters, it's nice that we did try to help out movie theaters, that to help their nice charm of socializing and just having a nice time at just see what movies they can watch, and yeah, and to prove that they can have a nice, fun social time after the pandemic. Yeah, because when the pandemic hit, there were difficulties, like when there was streaming and everything, and there's still some difficulties now, but I really hope things can play out fine. So overall, video game movies have been getting better and better. Like whether it be Detective Pikachu, Sonic the Hedgehog, and of course, this one, which is me. And it helped, like, better confidence in, like, Nintendo licensing their branding in more movie adaptations. And yeah, I think, yeah. And of course, 2 video game movies after the pandemic were Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and this one. Yeah, and they both proved that movie theaters can still be nice social experiences, just to have fun and have an enjoyable time after the pandemic. And one more thing before we end the video, we'd just like to say, like, at the time, like, when streaming was at peak, like, during the pandemic and everything, yeah, and many, like, the online stuff, like, video stores, many of them have went away, well, but, yeah, but I still see the charm in, like, physical, like, socializing and physical everything, like shopping and just watching films. They're nice, good experiences.
Oh, yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Mario. Thank you so much. Thanks for all this talking, and it was really interesting. And everything else.
Alrighty, now that we finished the stuff we talked about, like we turned off the screen, and yeah, that was good talking about how far we've come, like, when it comes to, like, whether it be pop culture and movies. Yeah. So, would you like to go out for a walk right now?
Yes, of course.